Whether you realize it or not, you have been programmed. And in this video today, I am going to tell you how to reprogram your mind. Now, the first thing that you need to understand is that your brain is kind of like a computer, only a more powerful computer than any other computer that man has ever made. And you can reprogram your mind or download new programs onto the computer of your mind by using two very simple processes that I'm going to share with you in this video. But let me just explain how all of this actually works so it's crystal clear for you. When you're a child from the ages of 0 to 7, you are just absorbing information, right? You don't have any awareness of the world, of yourself, of how things happen in the world. You're just a baby, right? You don't really know anything. And so in those early years of your life, you're just taking on information. You're making sense of the world. You're basically downloading programs from your environment, from the experiences that you had, from what your parents told you, from what you learnt in school, right? From the behaviors that you saw in your environment. You're just sucking up all of this information from the environment, and that is what is programming your mind. That is what is essentially creating your ideas about reality. Now, the easiest way to understand how this works is just taking someone from, for example, like a person who grew up in Australia and then a person who grew up in India. They're going to have two very different ways of seeing the world. The person who is living in Australia and who grew up in Australia is going to obviously have that program of the Australian, right? Whereas the person who grew up in India and learned how to live their life through being raised in India, they're going to have a totally different perspective. They're going to have a totally different way of looking at the world. So, this is the first thing you need to understand. It's that your brain is like a computer that downloads programs. When you were a kid, you got all of your programs installed from your environment, right? And things might have happened that weren't the best, right? Maybe your parents installed limiting beliefs about what's possible. Maybe you went to school and you struggled with social environments, right? Maybe the kids were mean to you. Maybe you got bullied, right? Maybe your parents were always worrying about money. Maybe your parents were always fighting. Maybe you never got the love and the connection that you needed as a child. All of these things could be possibilities, right? Now, what happens is that if you grow up and you absorb all of that information, you basically make sense of your world through that lens. You're operating from those programs, right? Now, what we want to talk about is how do you actually reprogram your mind? Because things might have happened in the past that weren't the best, right? And if so, that sucks. But it is what it is. You can't change the past. You can never change the past. And you've had your own life experience. You've had certain things that have happened, and that's that, right? There's no change in the past. There's no like you can't really, take those programs out because it's already happened. It's already been absorbed, and it's already been downloaded onto the computer of your mind. But what you can do is you can wake up to the present moment. And from the present moment, you can start to install new programs. You can start to override the old programs by installing new programs, by reprogramming your mind. Now, let me give you a little story about how this works. Now, you can think about The Matrix, right? I'm sure you've seen that movie or you've at least heard about it. In The Matrix, you've got Neo. And in the beginning, he is asleep. He's just in the program. He's just in his life and he thinks that there's something more to life and he feels like there's something more to life, but he just doesn't know what that is. And all of a sudden, he starts to see this white rabbit and he starts to follow the white rabbit. And you can think about the white rabbit just as a synchronicity. And if you're here watching this video, maybe it's a synchronicity that you're on a specific kind of path yourself. Now, Neo, he basically starts following the white rabbit until he meets Morpheus. Morpheus is like his mentor or his guide. And then Morpheus gives him an option. You take the blue pill, you stay asleep, you go back to your normal life, and you just keep operating in the same programming that you've always run. Or you take the red pill and you wake up and you have the opportunity to reprogram your mind, to change, to start to live a different life. Right. And, obviously Neo takes the red pill and he wakes up. Now, this is an important part of the journey. You need to wake up. So if you're watching this video and maybe you think that you're self-aware and you think that, oh, I know all this stuff, like I know that I should be able to reprogram my mind, or I know this stuff, or maybe you don't, maybe it's totally new for you. You need to wake up and really make the decision to take the red pill, right? It's a decision to take the red pill and to wake up and to change. Now, a lot of people don't do that. They don't make the decision. They take the bit blue pill. They think that they know, oh yeah, maybe there's something out there, but I'm not sure what it is. I'm just going to keep doing whatever I have always done in the past. I'm just going to keep operating with the same programs. And, you know, I don't know why I don't get the results that I want. I don't know why I don't get the relationship. I don't know why I don't, get into better health. Like, I don't know why I just keep drinking and why I feel like shit all the time and why I'm not getting a promotion at work or whatever it is, because you're just asleep. You're not changing. You just continue just to play the old programs, right? Those limiting programs that you learned when you were younger, they are what keep you stuck. And if you stay in those programs, you don't have the courage to make a decision to change and to wake up. You just stay in the program. And like I always give this example of, you see people who are 40, 50, 60 years old and they're just stuck with, addictions, or their relationship broke down, or their life went to shit and they never got a promotion. They're still working at a minimum wage. You see these kinds of people, 40, 50, 60-year olds who just don't have anything sorted. It's because they are stuck in their old programs. They're basically still stuck in their childlike programs. You look at them and they look like adults, but if you go deeper, you realize they're just a kid. Like they never really grew up. They never really woke up. They just continued to play the same programs over and over again for their whole life. And you see this particularly in men. Unfortunately, I'm a man myself. Now, it's unfortunate, but we do. We see it a lot with men, right? They are too proud or too stubborn to change, and they stay in their same ways, and then they end up having their life fall apart. I've seen it firsthand. It's not pretty, right? But that's what happens. It's because they're not waking up and they just stay asleep. But their pride and their stubbornness might actually convince them that they are awake, or that they know that, oh, their things aren't right. But they haven't actually made any commitment or decision to change. So this is what happens when Neo takes the red pill. He goes, Morpheus, take the red pill, let's go, boom. And he makes that decision to go and trust Morpheus as like a mentor or a teacher or a guide for him. And he takes that red pill, and then he kind of leaves the matrix. He wakes up, and then what he goes and learns a whole bunch of new programs from Morpheus. He goes and starts downloading all these like karate programs and becomes this badass guy, right? Now, he wouldn't have been able to do that if he just took the blue pill and went back to sleep. He took the red pill, he woke up, and then he started to go and download new programs. Now, that's important because, like I said, you can't change the past, right? You cannot change the past, but you can become present, make a decision in the present moment to change. And when you do that and you commit to that, and you ask for help, right? You get a teacher, you get a guide, you get a mentor to teach you new things. That is when the magic happens. And that is the part that I want to play for you here right now. I'm going to be Morpheus, you're Neo. We're going to reprogram your mind, right? So let's say you've taken the red pill, you've woken up. I'm Morpheus. Here we go, Neo. Like, let's actually create some change. How do we actually do that? How do we start to get different results in our life? How do we reprogram our mind so we can actually achieve the things that we want to achieve with our life? I'm going to tell you, but first, let me just walk you through a little bit of an understanding about how you work at a mindset level and like a behavioral level. Everyone usually wants a certain result. You want an outcome. Maybe you want a fulfilling relationship. Maybe you want a great job, right? Maybe you just want to be happy within yourself. Maybe you just want to be healthy. That's the end result. And that's actually not in your control. The end result is not in your control. The outcome is not in your control. The outcome is something that you get from doing a specific set of actions. So let's say you want to get a better job or you want to earn more money. That's outside of your control. What is inside of your control are the actions that you take to get that result. You upskill yourself, you learn, you put yourself out there, right? Like there's the external, which is the outcome. And then before that, there's the internal, which is the actions that you take. So you can't control the results, you can't control the outcomes, but you can control them via your actions, via your actions. So you take specific actions, they're going to get a specific result. You can't control the result, but you can control your actions. Now, what controls your actions? We've got to go back a level deeper. Your thoughts and your feelings. Your thoughts up here and your feelings in your heart. Your thoughts and your emotions. All humans have thoughts and emotions, right? But we often don't think about that. We always think about the actions or the results, but we don't think about even what comes before the results, what comes before the actions. It's the thoughts and the feelings. So, how we think about something and how we feel about something will determine if we take action on that thing. We are not going to take action on something if we don't think that it's a good idea or if we don't feel like it's a good idea. We're not going to take action on it. So, your thoughts and feelings determine what actions you take, and your actions determine what results you get. But there's actually something even deeper than your thoughts and feelings. That's your beliefs. So that is what you develop when you're a child, right? When you're younger, when you're growing up from 0 to 7, and then from 7 to 14, 18, you are getting all of these beliefs like installed into you as programs. And that will determine what you achieve. If your parents always told you, oh, money's so tight, money doesn't grow on trees, money's so hard to get, if your parents had a shit relationship with money and they installed a shit relationship with money into you, then you are going to have a shit relationship and you're going to have this belief about money, which actually holds you back. Same thing with relationships, right? Like actual relationships. If your parents had a divorce breakdown, you saw a lot of like chaos in relationships in your life, in your family home, you're not going to have a very good perspective on relationships, right? Same thing with addictions, drinking. Maybe your parents were alcoholics or doing drugs or smoking or whatever. If that's the case, you grew up in that environment, you installed those programs, it's likely that you're going to have to work through those issues yourself as well. And I could go on, but you get the point, right? So you get these programs installed when you're young, and they become your beliefs about the world and about yourself. And your beliefs that you have are changeable. 100%. You can change your beliefs, right? And two different people with two different sets of belief will have two different kinds of life, right? Someone who grows up in an affluent family, an abundant family, lots of wealth, they're going to have a different kind of life, right? If their parents are also very loving, very supportive, very nurturing, that's going to be that's a specific kind of belief system about how the world works. Whereas even if you grew up in a wealthy family, but maybe your parents weren't supportive, they weren't loving, they weren't caring, then maybe you grow up and you become, something else, right? Something not so good. So, or let's say you grow up in Australia, you're going to have a certain way of believing about things in the world. You grow up in India, you're going to have a different set of beliefs. So you just have to look at those contrasting things and realize, oh yeah, different beliefs create different life, right? And your beliefs about things, this is the very start, right? How you believe about things, right? This is your identity, who you think you are, what you believe. That trickles down into your thoughts and feelings. So, determined on what your beliefs are, these beliefs are usually also very deep in the subconscious mind. So, you might not even be aware of what you believe. You're not even really consciously aware of what you're believing. More of it's a subconscious thing. So, you have these deep, deep beliefs, and then that feeds into your thoughts and your feelings, and your thoughts and your feel like it's like you will only have a certain kind of thought or feeling about a certain kind of thing if you have a belief about it, like a deeper belief. You got the belief, you got the thoughts and the feelings. Thoughts and the feelings go down to the actions, determine what actions you take or you do not take, which determine what kind of results you get. So that's kind of how it works. And that's why it's important that we actually work on reprogramming our mind at the belief level. We change our beliefs because, like I said, that trickles down into your thoughts and feelings, trickles down into your actions, trickles down into the outcomes that you actually get in life. Now, here's where most people go wrong. They never think about their beliefs. They always think about the results and the outcomes and then the actions that they need to take. And oftentimes they wonder why they're not getting anywhere. They keep self-sabotaging. They keep going around in loops. They're stuck in a pattern of, the same thing happening over and over again. They're trying to do the things, but they're just not getting the result. Why? It's because at a deeper level, they have a deep belief that is inhibiting them from actually creating the change that they want. So this is why I do this mindset work, because you need to change the belief. You need to change your perspective. And when you do, everything will change. Right? So you might be wondering at this point, how do I do that, Josh? How do I do that, Morpheus? Like, red pill me, let's go. I'm going to tell you there's two things that you can do to change your beliefs and to reprogram your subconscious mind. Now, the first thing is what we could call like self-hypnosis. So here's an interesting thing. When you are in those first 7 years of your life, 0 to 7, well, you're actually operating in the theta brainwave state. So you got four main kind of brainwave states. You got delta when you're asleep. Theta is like in between sleep and awake. So you're kind of like not really awake, not really asleep. You're very, very relaxed, very drowsy, kind of coming out of sleep. That's theta. You got alpha is when you're awake, but maybe after a meditation or something like that, when you feel very calm, that's alpha. And you got beta. Beta is kind of like when you're active, you're doing things, you're very go, go, go. So when you're a kid, when you're 0 to 7, you're in the theta brainwave state. Now, in this theta brainwave state, you're very suggestive. So when you go, if you were to go to a hypnotist, I personally don't go and see hypnotists because I prefer to just do it myself because you can do it yourself. They're going to put you into a theta brainwave state. And then what they're going to do is they're going to make suggestions or they're going to say things. They're going to make affirmations. And because you're in this theta brainwave state, you are very open to suggestion. Your subconscious mind is just taking things in the same way that you did when you were downloading all of those programs when you were a kid. So we work on self-hypnosis. So we come down into a lower brainwave state, alpha and theta, bring ourselves down into these states, and then we make our own suggestions, our own affirmations, right? And that's how we can really reprogram our subconscious mind. We can go into this lower brainwave state and feed it new information, feed it a new program. That's self-hypnosis. You don't need an external hypnotist to do that. You can learn how to do that yourself, right? Hypnotize yourself. Super powerful. It's essentially we're using different meditation techniques and different journaling and affirmation techniques to do that. Now, that's the first thing you can do. The second thing is habits. How did you learn how to walk? How did you learn how to talk? How did you learn how to ride a bike? How did you learn how to write? How did you learn how to read? All those things you learned through habit. You were doing them every single day, or you were trying to do them every single day. And then one day you just got it. And all of a sudden, now you can do it and you don't even think about it. Same with brushing your teeth, right? It's just habit, day in, day out, discipline. Like that's essentially what it is, right? Although it's not often seen as that, but it's just that's what it is. It's habit. Same thing again and again, consistency, right? Commitment. You were always going to learn to brush your teeth, right? Your parents made sure that you were committed to that. You're always going to learn how to walk. You're always going to learn how to read, because you were committed to actually learning that through habit. Your parents were, impressing on you habit. So that's it. You learn how to hypnotize yourself or self-hypnosis, bringing yourself into lower brainwave states and then suggesting new belief systems to your brain. And then your subconscious mind is going to be open to that. So you can reprogram it. So you can install new programs. And then secondly, habits. We implement habits consistently, right? Boom, boom, boom. New routine, new habits every day. We're working on this thing. And over a period of time, I'm not saying it's a magic pill. It doesn't happen overnight. Reprogramming your mind does take time. But when you do, everything switches, right? And you become like Neo, who's like doing karate and like learning all these crazy languages and being an absolute badass. And he's just downloading all the programs from Morpheus. Morpheus is his mentor, his guide, just downloading programs, right? And then he becomes the one. He becomes the one who, saves the world. So super, super powerful stuff here. Reprogramming your subconscious mind. Once you start doing this, right, the only limit is your own imagination, is your own mind and what you believe is possible for yourself. So this is actually an important point that I'm going to finish on. You need to know what you actually want. This is a problem for a lot of people. A lot of people don't actually know what they want. We see social media, we see YouTube, we see the news, we see all these fancy cars and people living these big luxurious lifestyles. And that's fine. If that's what they want to do, then that's fine. Not everyone wants to do that. You might not actually want to do that. I don't necessarily want to do that. Like, I've got like a nice car. We live close to the beach. We've got enough money. I got a family. I got a wife. That's what I want to do. Like, I enjoy my life. Now, you've got to go through a bit of a self-discovery process to figure out who you actually are, what you actually want. Because if you start reprogramming your mind and you're not actually even sure that you want to do the thing that you're doing, like you don't feel passionate about it, you don't feel purposeful on the path that you're on, then you could go 5 years down the track and you realize, hold up, this wasn't actually what I wanted to do in the first place. So you have to become aware of yourself. You have to discover yourself and who you really are and what you really want. And then you can reprogram your mind. Now, if this was interesting for you, and if you're like, man, I need to do this, like I need to work on myself, I need to overcome my mind, I need to reprogram it, I need to install new beliefs, I need to do that kind of work so that I can live the life that I actually want to live, then come and work with me. I can help you with these things. I do this work with my coaching clients week in, week out, and it is life-changing stuff. I've worked with hundreds of people at this point, and I know the reviews and the testimonials that I get prove that it is life-changing work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link just below this video to go to my website. On my website, you're going to see a few different options of different ways to work with me. This is the School of Consciousness. I run this as a free community every Wednesday. So you can join the School of Consciousness and show up live next week. Or there's Anxiety to Alignment. I have a new program. It's an accelerator program, a 90-day program to help you heal your anxiety and get into mind, body, spirit alignment. So that will be on the website as well. And then finally, the best way that you can work with me, the fastest way that I can help you reprogram your mind, change, create a personalized roadmap for you, and just give you the blueprint is through my one-on-one coaching. And that's called the Conscious Creator Program. So if you want to apply for that, it's by application only. There is a link on the website to schedule a free consultation with me. And on that free consultation, we're going to get to know each other a little bit better. And I'm going to see if I can help you. So that's it. I'll put the link to the website below. And I hope this was helpful. I know that it is helpful. You've taken some notes, I'm sure. And I really encourage you to start implementing this stuff. And also, like Neo, get a guide, make a commitment, find a mentor, find a coach. I can be that person for you. But when you do that, you are going to make a commitment to actually wake up, take the red pill, and start to change your life. If you don't, you stay stuck in the same patterns. You stay stuck in the self-sabotage. And that is really not a way to live. You don't want to be one of those people who gets to 40, 50, 60, and their life is just a bit of a shit show. Trust me. We've seen what happens for people like that. It's not pretty. Take the action, take the red pill, make the commitment, wake up, reprogram your mind, get some help, ask for help. There's no shame in it. It's actually very powerful, and make those changes. That's it from me today, guys. I'll see you next week.